how's it going, guys? Chocolate here with you today with what is absolutely 100%, most definitely, no doubt about it, the last episode of our Ambiorix campaign. I feel like I've started every one of my last like 3 or 4 episodes saying it, but this time's for real. This time we have a countdown ready for the end of the game. We have 2 turns left until we achieve a diplomatic victory. We are missing here just 1 more point. Thanks to all our session and aid work and competitions, but finally we are about to get a free diplomatic victory point here from global warming mitigation, and that will bring us to 20 and thus let us win the game. Yeah, and I mean, oh okay, I guess Katarja researched satellites, but she hasn't launched anything. So, and I mean, Movember never launched anything. He didn't go down that route in the science tree. So we didn't really have any threat in that level. But I mean, the 288, the game will be over 290. So it went pretty long. But basically, because we know that this game is pretty much over, 2 more turns until it reaches the end, this episode is going to be basically dedicated to just me talking about what I think about the Gauls. As I have mentioned in the last few episodes, this was my first time playing the Gauls due to the fact that they are a frontier pass civilization. So they've only been out for approximately a year now, a year and a half, I guess. They came out October 2020, I believe, part of the frontier pass. So yeah, I have kind of held myself back from really playing a lot of the frontier pass civs in order to kind of get a first-hand experience with it when I play them in my A to Z challenge. So because of that, I've avoided playing them, and now this was my first game as them. And my overall thoughts about them, well, I will share in depth in this episode as we push towards the end of the game. But basically, I know a few episodes I talked a little about how I think about, like what I think about the game as we're reaching the end, and how I feel about the Gauls, this being the first time that I played them. And I know that I actually initially said something along the lines of like, oh, they're a little disappointing. I am going to backtrack a little on my words, because there is some things that I'd like to acknowledge about this game that perhaps maybe made the experience not as what I was hoping for. Maybe like I maybe this game didn't necessarily go the way I planned, and I'll explain a little more in a second. And it's because of that maybe what I thought I could do with the Gauls, I didn't necessarily do. But even with that point, there's a lot of things we did with the Gauls this game that I think worked very effectively to what we wanted to achieve. So I'll talk a little about that. I don't know where I want to send the spy. Probably to a Congolese city. Yeah, I'll send you to Mbumbi. Doesn't particularly matter. The game literally ends in 2 turns. We have nothing to worry about. So now I'm just going to be basically clicking mindlessly as to what we want to do. I know we're losing a ton of gold, but at this point I don't really care to fix it. Other than maybe sending trade routes to gold liking destinations. But yeah, I built kind of this rocket artillery army a little too late. We were going to bring to attack Congolese cities, or free cities in that area. But the game ends here soon, so yes. Go ahead and fuse with him. So, as I'm kind of moving everything, what do I think about the Gauls? Well, for one, I said I'll acknowledge that some of the stuff in this game that I wanted to do didn't necessarily go the way as planned, and that's mostly in regard to the fact that we are so far away from everybody. And 2 things. Number one is because of the Highlands map, and I said this throughout the game, that the Highlands map is just a very land-based map. Like, even if there are like bodies of water, they're much smaller compared to, say, if this was a continents map. This Gulf of Tunis, say, like, or Gulf of Cadiz would be just one big ocean, right? Like, it'd be, if we full screen map. So these two bodies of water will probably be a lot bigger, and they'd probably be something like this. So this would force like a civ like Portugal to maybe shove more inland, or like Phoenicia a little more, Hungary probably a little more, Indonesia, right? So all this will be water, and so you'd have a lot more settlements here and there. That being said, the map did get filled a relative amount. But I mean, look how big our empire is, right? So we had so much space to expand. I didn't conquer any like foreign city besides Lpeki here from Phoenicia, and that was through loyalty. I didn't actually take it, right? So we did have a lot of land, and that's not entirely a bad thing, right? Like we still had a good game, right? Like our science and culture are both over 1,000, something that I actually haven't done in either of my two previous games. I believe in my Nubia game, my culture barely got over 1,000, but my science didn't reach 1,000. And then the Alexander game, I don't think either one reached those heights. I didn't particularly focus getting them there. But this game, I focused quite a lot on building up both my culture and science, because when you're going for a diplomatic victory, it's not a bad idea to have both in a good position. And that's mostly due to these, like this civic that I'm searching now. Global warming mitigation, which gives you a diplomatic point, and we already had it, seasteads, I don't know, which also gives you a diplomatic point. So you can earn 2 free diplomatic points by just reaching towards the end of the tech and civic tree. So not a bad idea to... Oh, that was a mistake. But anyway, not a bad idea to push your way to good science and culture when you are going for diplomatic victory. Sorry, I'm just moving all the units. Okay. What was I saying? Yeah, so like I did build up the empire, and we did have a good game, but like not necessarily the game we wanted. I wanted, for example, let's say I'm at Ratuka here. Let's say I wanted like a civ here, and then maybe they'll settle here, and then they hit a dark age, and now there's a free city here, and then the army that I built up would come in and take it. But because we were so far away from everybody, I mean, we can look here, right? Like Lisbon's all the way over here compared to our capital over here. That's like what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. That's 28 tiles away from our capital, which is really far. And that's one of the closer civs, right? Like Washington all the way over here. Addis Ababa all the way over here. Tyr all the way here. So everybody was really far from us this game, and that's both in part due to the fact that this was a Highlands map with less land, with more land, and also just like kind of luck on our side, or maybe bad luck, if depending how you look at it. Like we take a look here at, say, Scotland, for example. Here's Stirling. Here's Mbanza, Congo. Like, look how much closer they are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Less than half the tiles closer to each other. And then, like, Washington's here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Also 11. So Scotland over here is pretty close to, like, 2 civs, as opposed to us, where we're just so far away. And that's the main issue when you want a game where you want people around you so you can conquer, and you don't get that. That makes things a lot harder for you, if you're insisting on playing that way. Now, we didn't, right? Like, we didn't go... I delayed building an army, for example, for quite a few, several turns, just because I didn't see the need to, so I built my empire instead. But yeah, having that disadvantage where we want to conquer free cities and then we just can't, right? Like, we had civs like Phoenicia and America hit Dark Ages, but we're just so far away from them that we couldn't take the cities. And even if we did take the cities, because we're so far away from them, we don't have the loyalty to hold on to them. Like, I know Beja, for example, flipped here for Portugal. Like, if we wanted to grab that, there's just no way we could. Because we're far, and also we couldn't be able to hold it. So that's one thing that didn't necessarily go our way this game, that maybe impacted the way I initially looked at the Gauls. Like, we activated the Dramatic Ages mode specifically for the purpose of being able to conquer free cities. But yeah, it didn't quite work the way we wanted to. And so I feel like that, for the most part, I think what it hurt the most, what it hurt the most is our ability to use our Gacete, our unique unit. The Gacete holds pretty well into the medieval era. Do I want to do the math here? So if you get plus 10 for fighting things higher base strength than you, right? So basically any unit that's an era ahead of you. So let's say men of arms. I will do the math. Let's take a look here. We have time. So let's go Gacete. Melee strength of 20 plus the 10 for fighting a man of arms. And then we'll get to the other bonus. Oh, it's plus 5 for just... Yeah, but okay, so... The other bonus comes from a different ability. But this plus 5 combat strength for district defenses. You are able to attack cities very strongly with this unit, and we just could not because we were so far away. By the time we got to anybody, the Gacete had fallen out of relevance, and it was time to upgrade to Musketman. Like, I kept it longer. Like, we kept it past, what are they called? Men of Arms. Actually, I meant to compare here. So we get the plus 10 combat strength, so we're 30 base against the Men of Arms. Man at Arms. Man at Arms is 45 melee strength, but if you take a Gacete and surround it with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units, right? So let's say the enemy, ally, then that's plus 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So you have a Gacete who can overpower a Man-at-Arms. It's not until Musketmen that you should really probably consider upgrading your Gacetes, and unfortunately for us, it just, like, we never had the chance to use our Gacetes to their full potential. Except perhaps taking our cities back. Like, we hit a Dark Age once, and Lisieux, I think, flipped over here. As well, we had a second city. Oh, it was Novio Dunham. That flipped as well. So that was the only really chance we had of using our Gacete, and I do think the future down the line, if you yourself maybe want to take full advantage of the Gacete, try, I don't know if do a Highlands map, probably try a different type of map, but try to see how well they are in the early game, and maybe like try to get your way to a domination victory through that. But yeah, just our inability to use the Gacete kind of bummed me out, I would say. I do think it's a very strong unit, but we just couldn't really put that on display this series, which I would have liked to do. So that's one aspect. Like, for example, we never conquered Geneva, right? Going back to my point of wanting to conquer free cities and just not being able to. In a sense, I'm also kind of happy I wasn't able to, because part of my strategy counted on the AI being so bad that there are this many free cities. We've kind of reached the point where they are this bad and there aren't that many free cities. Like, look over here, right? All these free cities over here. Look at what's happening to the Ottomans. They're about to lose Konya as well in 13 turns. The game will be over by then, but still. Like, this is more so what I expected, but like way earlier, not at this point in the game. So the fact that the AI didn't get obliterated by Dark Ages is somewhat impressive to me. I mean, Ethiopia did, right? Like, Ethiopia lost all their cities and was down to Adwa at one point. We gave them Addis Ababa back, so I guess some AI got decimated, but I mean, others, like Phoenicia, seemed okay. I don't know what happened here. There were some big wars. Did not mean to click you. Yeah, there were some big wars. Like, Indonesia has Hungarian cities. Congo had Indonesian cities. So there were some big wars here that I missed out on. But yeah, nobody really got insanely screwed by Dark Age. Maybe actually these weren't even wars. Maybe it was just Indonesia took them by loyalty. Oh well. So yeah, the game not going maybe as like in my favor as I expected. Generally is a good thing, I would say, because I don't want this to be cakewalk. But like in terms of what I plan to do, I would say like is kind of a bad thing. So yeah, that's the other thing. But I kind of let these thoughts cloud my judgment when I was talking about how like I'm kind of disappointed in the Gaul like a few episodes ago, because looking over what these guys have, and I definitely do plan on making a review video down the line as soon as I get the Ambiorix ones, because I still haven't done that. But looking at these abilities, this is a good civ. Like I have to look at it and I can say without a doubt that this is a good civ. What is it as good as Ambiorix and Alex? That's a little harder to say. I would probably say no, but even then, I don't think they're that far off. The biggest strength of the Gauls that you can't 100% use in an AI game, because the AI is kind of predictable, so you won't really need to be ready for it, is that you are one of the biggest like defensive civs in the game when you're playing the Gauls. The ability to have a second district shoot and be fortification is really damn good. You have the ability to set up an optimum, an encampment, and now your city has 3 shots of defense. You can put this in a way where you defend just one side, like we did over here in Funny City Name. We put encampment and we put oppidum, and then we have 2 shots here if any American unit steps in, or if someone comes from here, we can just shoot 3 times. So it becomes really hard to take cities, but we're not really gonna have a chance to experience that playing against AI. That's more something that maybe you'll experience better against players, like human players. So can't really demonstrate that. I just want to explore what's over here. But yeah, the Gauls being a really good defensive civ lets you maybe not have to prioritize military as much. But even then, you like make a couple cassettes early on. Actually, no, I'll backpedal a little. With the few cassettes you build early on top of with your defensive districts, then yeah, like your defense is pretty darn set. So you don't really have to build a military the size that I did. I mean, it's mostly rocket artillery that I've never used, but even then, your cassette is so strong that you have the ability to play offensive early on, which we couldn't do, but is something very viable. I would say Domination Victory is not the best victory type for Gauls, but it is a viable victory type. The Gauls are pretty versatile, not as much as Nubia. Nubia, I think, could literally do any victory type they want rather comfortably. Gaul, I would say, can't really do religious. You don't really get anything to help you get a religion or maintain a religion. If you want to do a religious game, go for it. Like, you use your production to build all the religious wonders. But I just think that it's not nearly as big a advantage for you. You're not really getting an advantage in the religious victory playing the Gauls. Domination and diplomatic, I would say, are pretty even for Ambiorix, and you might be thinking, why am I playing diplomatic if I don't think it's the strongest victory type? And that's a good question. Another part of why maybe this series, or maybe like I initially thought of the Gauls as kind of disappointing a few episodes ago when I was kind of talking about the end game here, is because what was I saying? Is because like I kind of messed up what I wanted to do in this game. And what I mean by that is that, so prior to starting this game, back right after I finished Nubia, my initial plan heading into an Ambiorix game was that this will be a science victory. Fast forward a year later, it's been a long time since I've played, obviously, and I now decide, oh, wait, no, I should do a diplomatic victory, because I kind of looked at what leaders we have coming up to play, and the way I wanted to do it is that the first few series, I'll just do each victory type once, and so initially I thought that I have a science victory planned out coming soon, so I assigned Ambiorix a diplomatic victory instead. But then I looked over and I realized, wait, no, I don't. In fact, I don't have a science victory now coming up for quite a while. We are going to repeat victory types before we get our first science victory. So in hindsight, probably should have gone for a science victory with Ambiorix. That was initially the plan, but then I decided to do a diplomatic. And if you ask me as to what victory type Ambiorix is best at, I will probably say science. Any civ that's able to generate a huge ton of production, like Germany's another good example, is a very strong science victory candidate, because the late game depends on really, really good production to finish the project as fast as possible. Like if we go down here, never mind, because we don't have a spaceport, we can't see it. But the missions like the launch moon landing, where's the Earth satellite? Like if you have really high production, you can get them out so fast and approach the science victory really fast. It's what makes Germany so good at science victories too. So yeah, if you're thinking of what's the best victory type to go for when you're playing Ambiorix, I would definitely recommend a science as your first priority. Culture is good too, simply because Ambiorix kind of gives you a unique... okay, let me backtrack a little. First of all, you're able to generate culture pretty well early on. I mean, if you just build a few mines at the start of the game, then you are looking pretty good in culture for the near future. And then once your production gets underway, you can start building all the things you need to get towards a culture victory. So start building up your theater squares, any wonders you might need, right? We did manage to build a lot of wonders this game towards later in the game. I know early on we had a few snagged, but I mean later on we caught back up, built the wonders we wanted, right? We got Broadway, that's a huge boost. Am I building the Eiffel Tower? I feel like I'm building the Eiffel Tower. Oh yeah, we built it in Mardomacos. That's another good wonder you want for a culture victory. The Cristo Redentor, but we're not interested in that. So yeah, you have the ability to build a lot of cultural wonders for yourself. And because you have that early culture generation from all your mines, then you're able to really get good culture earlier in the game to build up towards the later game. The only difficulty I will say when it comes to culture victories with Ambiorix, because you're going to want to build all these mines and oppidums, your appeal is not going to be very good. So if you think you're able to generate tourism through means other than appeal, by all means go for it, but appeal is a pretty important aspect of a culture game. But even with that said, you can always shift off the production, kind of like shift off all these mines and stuff, and just designate a bunch of area to like appeal, like national parks and seaside resorts, all that stuff. It generally is tougher when you don't have a good faith generation to get a culture victory as well, but again, Ambiorix can find ways around that. He's by no means like a top tier culture civ, but you can definitely try your hand at a culture victory. I would say it's his second best option. Some might argue domination, but I mean, I feel like your defensive capabilities are so much better than your offensive capabilities as the Gaul. The only thing you have going for yourself as the Gaul to go for a domination victory is that early on, your Gazetes are just so damn powerful. One of the most, if not the most, powerful unit in the game. I know I said about the Patati Archers in my Nubia campaign, but I mean, hey, the Gauls came out right before that, so I didn't really have a chance to examine that. Yeah, the Gazetes is definitely one of the strongest units of the game, so you can definitely use that to your advantage if you want to head towards a domination game. Not a bad idea. So Yeah, but I mean, I chose diplomatic, mostly because of the game mode. I thought we could still use a good army to invade free cities, but also just use production, a really, really good production to build anything we need for that diplomacy, right? So build up our science really well, build up our culture really well, build wonders that we need for a diplomatic victory, like the Potala Palace and Statue of Liberty. And it's mostly because your ability to just produce things so well is what makes Ambiorix so versatile. So yeah, you have a lot of options for things to do with Ambiorix, the victory types you want to go for with Ambiorix. So yeah, I do like that about the Gauls. So I talked about how good I think the Gauls are in like getting all these victories, and how and I've talked about maybe things we didn't really expect coming in this game, that being too far from everybody, not enough free cities, initially planning to go for science victory, but then deciding to do diplomatic victory, which isn't as conventional with the Gauls. But all that said, like looking at this civ, if I had to make a declaration right on the spot as to which of the 3 civs that I've played so far I prefer, I think pretty easily I would have to say the Gauls, because my complaints with Macedon and Nubia are that they're pretty straightforward. There's not a lot of uniqueness to them. There is a little, I would say, for Alexander. It's your ability to generate an army without falling behind so much, because the main thing in so many other games, when you're building up your army, you're now falling behind in science, falling behind in culture, because you're not building those up. Instead, you're spending your time just building an army. But Alexander doesn't fall behind for that. He just he wants to do that, as that helps him advance through the game, as well as build up his strength, and then you can use that strength to invade everyone else. So I guess there is some uniqueness to Alexander. Same thing with the Minotaur, in a sense, like being so reliant on archers, using desert, like settling on the outskirts of deserts for the Nubian pyramids, right? Like I'd settle like something here is Nubia and then build a pyramid. That would help us a lot. But both of them tend to be very general ideas of civs. Like, hey, are you trying to do a domination victory for the first time? Why not take a crack at Alexander? He's like one of the best first-time domination player civs, because of his ability to just make it so easy to focus on the domination aspect. Not sure what to do, but want to build up a general, like, strong and like potent empire, then take a crack at Nubia, because Nubia is able to get a really good early game unit, build any district type they want early on, and really get going in whatever victory type you decide to go for. You want to do religious victory, build that holy site pretty fast with your bonus district production and get that religion. You want to do science victory, build like 1 or 2 campuses pretty fast with your ability to build that district. Having that ability to make your districts, what am I looking for? Like faster to make, gives you the opportunity to kind of build whatever you want in the early game, which just makes Nubia insanely like versatile for what victory type she can go for. She can literally do like any victory type she wants. She's viable for all of them, all because her ability allows her to build the districts that she so pleases. And Ambiorix can't do that as much, but what I really like about Ambiorix and so many of the Frontier Pass civs, generally a lot of the newer civs have this kind of idea where the developers know that the people still playing this game are the ones that are dedicated to it and want to see new ways of playing the game, and I do kind of appreciate that. It does feel like they're paying attention and listening to what people want, because what does it help if you make just another civ who can literally just generate whatever they want in the same way? I think there's a lot of uniqueness in so many of the newer civs, right? Like Mali uses Gaul to do whatever they want. That's not Frontier Pass, but it is a newer civ. Hungary has a good time working with city-states to go for like domination ideas. Canada is very peaceful and is based around Tundra. Granted, Peter exists, but Canada's Tundra play works differently than Peter. What else we got? I'm thinking of more unique ones. I'll head to the Frontier Pass now. There's Vietnam, who's such a unique civ, and probably a civ I'm most excited to play. Interestingly enough, they're the civ we're playing next, so very much so looking forward to that. This unique playstyle where you have to work with features. You can't put any districts on just naked land here, right? So we couldn't put a district here, we couldn't put a district here. It had to be on the woods or on the marsh, which I don't see over here, or on the jungle. So yeah, it limits you, but it gives you an upper hand in that limitation. Gaul works the same. Another civ that I'm very excited to take a crack at from the Frontier Pass that kind of has the same idea as Babylon. They gain full, like when they boost the technology, they just gain the technology, right? You hear that and you think that's absolutely insane. So you get a boost and you just unlock the tech. Yeah, that is absolutely insane. But the downside here is that you're encouraged to play around those boosts, because if you don't, you're punished. And the punishment with Babylon. There mid-sentence or anything, my mic disconnected, but as I was saying, yeah, so the Gauls offer a much more unique way of playing than, say, Macedon or Nubia, which I definitely do admire, and it's definitely why I prefer the Gauls over Macedon and Nubia. I can't say that they're stronger. They're still strong. Like, if people want to make an argument that the Gauls are one of the strongest civs in the game, I think that's viable, but a lot of it is just defensive, so I guess if you're playing DD, then it is a good civ because you just have so many defensive capabilities against the AI. But yeah, if you're trying to go on the offensive, it's a little harder. Maybe not early when you have Gazetes, because those are just so strong that that's rather easy, but I mean for, also, why are we not allied to Menelik? Wait a minute, you have money? Whoa, alright. Thought you were dirt poor. Anyway. So yeah, I do enjoy the Gauls. Are they one of my favorites? No. I have quite a few civs that I absolutely love. Gauls are not there. I do enjoy them. I enjoy playing them. I enjoy using the Oppidum. Granted, between the two unique industrial zone replacements, I think I prefer the Hansa from Germany, just because it takes normal industrial zone adjacencies to the max, right? Adding that commercial hub and resource bonus, you can get just insane Hansa adjacencies that I absolutely love about Germany. But what the Oppidum has over the Hansa is that you can gain immediate production much faster. And I will say the aspect of the Gauls that we got to really use this game is the Oppidum, and I mean that's good. If you have a good, unique district building or improvement, then that makes a pretty good civ. Like the best civs that I can think of tend to have the civs that I enjoy the most, or I think are really good, are the ones that have a really good unique district building or improvement. Because that's the thing that you're going to be building a lot of, right? That's the thing that you're focusing your playstyle around. When you have something like the Nubian pyramids for Nubia that you don't really think of as much, other than I guess placing them right next to the city center, it's kind of a making of a less unique playstyle. But if I have this district that I am just encouraged to build as much as I can, then that definitely changes the way you play, right? Because we want to prioritize these industrial zones, being Oppidums with us. Like we want to get so many of them down because they offer defensive strength and they can get really good adjacency really easily. That really easy adjacency is the main thing that the Oppidum has going for it as compared to everything else. It's what makes Gaul such a good production generating civ. So you can draw some similarities to Germany for the Gauls just because they both have industrial zone replacements. But the Gaul play way different than Germany in the sense that you're not looking for these river valleys to build juicy industrial zone adjacency, right? You're just looking for a bunch of hills with a bunch of mines. You want to get resources like stone, all the strategic resources help you, and marble and gypsum give you queries, so those are resources you want to have. Granted, we didn't, but it can be so easy to place just a few like really good Oppidums, right? Like we just come here, we settle Radamakos, and we see, oh, look at this, we have, okay, actually I guess we built this in Samarobriva, but still, you have a +6 Oppidum, boom, right there. Just improve these queries and easily a +6 Oppidum. To get a +6 like Hansa or just an industrial zone with any other civ, it takes quite a while to build the aqueducts and the dams that you want to get down. So the Gaul's ability to generate like a really good adjacency really fast compared to many of the other civs with the industrial zones makes them really damn strong for production. And when you're really strong for production, you can just like generally play the game well. I'm about to click next turn, and that will supposedly end the game, giving us the last diplomatic point. So yeah, in regards to the Oppidum, I do really like it. But yeah, there's just something that keeps the Gauls from being one of my absolute favorite civs. And I think it is, in somewhat of a sense, that lack of focus of what to do, other than just generate a ton of production. Though I guess you can just go for science victories. As I said, like when you can generate this much production, you should be going for science. But I'm gonna click next turn here, see if the game does indeed end. Scotland switched to fascism. That's no good. Oh. The game's still going? Oh, we got captured. Yeah. What the heck? Okay, maybe we have to play another turn just for to register that like we have the 20 out of 20. Because I guess it's like the start of this turn that we got. I don't know. Yeah, we'll play just one more turn and see if it works. But declare friendship with me, please. Oh, rude. We're gonna end the game without being friends. Yeah, I've rambled a lot, but did I actually just get the thoughts I wanted to? I mean, I think for the most part, the optimum is the general thing that we used a lot as that, and the Hallstatt culture, +1 culture, and then culture bombs. Yeah, so these are two abilities that we were able to use pretty extensively this game. And I mean, like, Hallstatt culture is an ability that you do have to think about, right? You're not necessarily going to build a mine on every single tile playing on any other civ, but with this ability here, you're definitely encouraged to build a lot more mines. Like, I would not have built this many mines this consistently here, but because playing the Gauls, you want to build so many mines. I remember early in the game, in Adwatuka here, we were like, oh, we can build a mine here, and we can build a mine here, and we can build a mine here, right? We wanted to build a ton of mines, and this is what I like. What I like is when an ability influences the way you're playing a game. And I just felt like a civ like Nubia that you're not really getting that, right? So many of the abilities I was mentioning are kind of passive in the sense that you don't have to think about them to use them. Whereas something like Hallstatt culture here for Ambiorix, I do have to think about using it. I do have to keep in mind that I want more mines on just any plain hills tile because we can generate good culture and we want to culture bomb our land. Optimum, as I mentioned, you're going to be want to think, especially when it's a specialty district, you will be thinking about using it. So that's one thing going for it. That being said, this ability here, King of the Ambiorix, I don't think I thought about this ability for the majority of this game. I forgot a bunch of times that we gain culture from producing units. Granted, I did generate units, but I didn't even pay attention to that. When I'm making like a review video or something, I'll have to like actually look back and see how much culture we were able to generate from doing this thing. And then on top of that, this +2 combat strength for every adjacent unit. Oh, I did math wrong way earlier. I did like +5 from every adjacent unit. It's not that strong. That'd be insane. Like, I thought about it a little more than the other part, but still not fully thinking around it. That's more of a domination ability, I would say. So if you are doing a domination game, do keep that in mind. Like, even if you're surrounded by a bunch of enemies, you can still come out on top over there. I guess we just built some seasteads or something. Seasteads, I don't know. So yeah, as a kind of a conclusion as to what I think about Ambiorix, I think he is like a solid civ of the three I've played, probably my favorite. In terms of strength, I also think that the Gaul is solid, mostly due to their ability to defend so well, making it easy to focus on just building up your empire. They do have the option to go a little more aggressive. It's not necessarily the way you want to play them, but like you have that option too. So their versatility and their uniqueness helps them for sure. But then in pretty much every single aspect, they kind of get outshined by someone else for me. So I'll give you an example. There's two civs in the game that have a industrial zone replacing district. I've mentioned Germany, that's the other one. So the Hansa for Germany and the Optimum for the Gauls. Of the two, I probably say that I prefer the German Hansa, just because while the Optimum is better for immediate adjacency, the Hansa can generate absolutely insane adjacency yields. into the game, you can get such high production with German cities. I mean, we got a ton of production in this game, like 145 in Rademacher, which is pretty darn good. Outta has 223, so like just to show, like we weren't playing around this game. We got really good production in our cities. A lot of these cities, I mean, in the later game, we were just generating whatever we want. In Outta, we were able to generate whatever we wanted. So, the Gauls are by no means a pushover in terms of production. Like, they are powerhouse in production, but there is just that one civ that I prefer when it comes to that. So, when it comes to the industrial zone replacing district, I prefer the Germans. When it comes to the uniqueness of the playstyle, of having like a downgrade in ability, but then having a really good upgrade in ability with the mines. Both Vietnam and Babylon are civs that interest me quite a bit more in that regard, of being able to fully research text by just boosting them or having to put down districts on features. Those are two civs that kind of have a similar idea to the Gauls that I prefer. A lot of people talk about with the Gauls doing a man-at-arms rush, because the moment you unlock, and when you put down an oppidum from ironworking, I believe, yeah, from ironworking, the moment you place it down, you unlock man-at-arms here in apprenticeship. So I know a lot of people like to do like a man-at-arms rush with the Gauls, but I mean, literally a pack or two later, you had Babylon get introduced, and Babylon, because you gain a tech when you boost it, the man-at-arms rush becomes even more viable when you're playing Babylon, because you just have to build 3 mines and boom, you have a man-at-arms. So that's what I mean, kind of in a sense where there's always someone that's doing what the Gauls are doing slightly better, in my opinion. So yeah, generally I would say that the Gauls are just an overall very strong and unique empire, but they're not the best for me in anything that they do. So would definitely recommend them, but that's what keeps them from being my favorite. So with that and with my thoughts kind of out there now, I'm gonna look to end this game here, because I've been babbling for almost 50 minutes just to show you how long I can talk. Oh my god, these were the longest 2 turns, I guess 3, in any of our games. Just build a farm. But yeah, let's finish this. Pretty fun game. Didn't go the way we necessarily wanted, but as I've said in our previous series, I don't necessarily want things to go 100% the way I want. It's cool every once in a while when it does, but I can't expect it to always. But yeah, generally made a very good game out of it. Again, this is the most science we've generated in any of our series so far. I'm hoping we can generate more in future series, but we will see. What am I building in this year? I'll build... No, I don't want to build a spaceport. Build a water park on a lake. I mean, look at these spaceports. Like, every one of my cities is able to build a spaceport really fast. I'll just do a builder for no reason. I will do a... I did build a harbor, so let's go ahead and build it up. Oh, flood barriers. There's an encampment here. Yeah, why not? Just do a research lab. Doesn't really matter, we're just trying to finish. Alright. No. Anticlimactic again. Alright, and that should be the end of the game. If it isn't, we have a problem. If this this isn't the end of the game. We have a problem. Oh my god. Also, why did our... Huh. And come on. There it is. There's the achievement. And there's the victory.
From your earliest desire to live in peace, to the times when you stood against aggression, you have always sought cooperation. You did not do this merely to brighten your own glory, but because dignity belongs to each of us. And in so doing, you have proved that your ancient and eternal commitment to a shared peace will be the foundation of the world of tomorrow.
Alright, and that is the end of yet another series. Yeah, I'd almost 100% should have been a science victory instead, but whatever. We will have plenty of science victories down the line. Interestingly, this is the first series ever where I did not hit the #1 rank of Augustus Caesar. In my Macedon game, I believe I was just shy of 3,000. And in my Minotaur game, we hit a score that I will arguably never hit again, because we were specifically going for as high of a score as possible. We hit over 3,000 for sure. I think it was 3,200 something. Yeah, we only reached Nelson Mandela here, but I mean, this is still a pretty good score. I remember a while back, I would only hit like levels down here, so the fact that I'm consistently getting this high is pretty damn good. Looking at the graphs, this game was pretty tight until towards the end. And mostly that's due to Congo. Congo stuck with us, or was ahead of us, for a lot of the game. It wasn't until later when they finally started losing cities to loyalty and stuff that they kind of fell. And we just climbed way up. And I mean, this is probably a big indicator of why we settled so much later on in the game. We settled almost... Settled almost 32 cities. I assume 32 is like a little over here, but yeah, a lot of cities. I mean, look how long Congo stuck with us, right? It's only about turn, I don't know, I'd say this is like 30 something, 40 something that yeah, I'd probably say 40 something that we started separating from them. Great people earned. Look at that. They way beat us. So yeah, Congo definitely dominated this game. And I find Congo AI tends to be one of the strongest in general. I don't know what it is about Congo that makes him do so well. Number of combats. Oh, Phoenicia. Wow. Okay. Yeah, we're down here. We're not even that much. Yeah, Hungary had wars. Ottomans had wars. Indonesia. So there was definitely stuff going on here that I missed out on. Let's look at culture. Look at that. But look how Congo is like with us all the way until finally here we break off. And then science is definitely something we were not ahead. Like, look at that. We're way down here for such a long time, and then we just hit a spike and explode. Score. I guess. Is this their cities destroyed? Or who is this? Oh, this is Joao. Yeah, Joao lost a city at some point. I don't know if Phoenicia did that. Governor titles. We were doing that. Governors. Yeah, we didn't get all of them. Oh, the Ottomans got all of them, including their own unique one. Yeah, total governors, I just did that. Total religions, most useless graph in the game. Units killed? Oh, wow. We didn't do a lot of combats, but we sure did kill a lot of units. Units lost. Look at that, the minimization of damage. War declarations received. That's the Congo? Yeah, he, the world hated him towards the end. Wars declared. Yeah, we only declared on Phoenicia, I believe, and then wonders constructed. This is nice to see. I like that we're able to build wonders. But yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for this. Let's go to just one more turn here and look at the finished product once again. As our economy is heading into debt, and the world slowly just floods into oblivion, we are going to end the series. This was pretty fun. I'm glad to have finally played the Gauls. A very unique playstyle and very enjoyable. Are they my favorite? No. Are they enjoyable? Absolutely. Had a pretty fun time with them. I will say over the years or so I've leaned away from production-based games, but I mean, it's always nice when you just produce whatever the heck you want at any time. And yeah, so overall a fun game. The Highlands map definitely gave us a ton of land, but even with that, and maybe being unable to invade as many free cities as we can, a lot of things this game didn't go as planned or had a bit of a mix-up. I definitely should have gone science victory, but we take the unconventional diplomatic victory. And on this very, very long episode of chattering, I can finally say that we are finished, and a pretty good game it was that we had. So on that note, oh, actually, before I say on that note, we didn't get the achievement for getting a what's it called? Getting a Cassetti to kill a tank. I will not be filming more of this game to see if I can get that. But I might off-screen play a little and see if I can earn that achievement. It'd be a pretty cool achievement to get. But that'll be off-screen. I won't show that or pain you through having to sit moving all my army through this land. So yeah, that's going to end the series here. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I hope you guys will stick around to see more. Keep an eye out for a review video. I will try to release the Nubia one first. I know it's been over a year, but I would still like to get my thoughts out on Nubia, and then I will try to make one for the Gauls as well. Should I see that I am kind of stalling, I might just skip the review videos for a little and just keep going with the next series. So on that note, thank you guys so much for watching, not just this episode but the entire series. If you like what you see, go ahead and like the video, and if you want to see more, if you want to be here for all the upcoming series we have as we continue our Civilization 6 A to Z challenge, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Until the next series though, I will see ya.